You're about to take a nostalgic video drive down memory lane. For more than 35 years, the humorous, rhyming Burma Shave signs dotted the landscape along the nation's highways. The signs contain rhymes like, cattle crossing means go slow. That old bull is some cow's beau. Or, the bearded lady tried a jar. She's now a famous movie star. The messages were always spelled out on 6 signs, strategically located along the farmer's property line. The last one carried the signature of the sponsor, Burma Shave. Long before this modern skyline took shape, tons of shaving cream and thousands upon thousands of roadside signs were produced in a modest factory and sign shop in Minneapolis. While Burma Shave's operations were located there, its name became known throughout the land. This is at once the story of America's love affair with the automobile, and how a small, family-owned business generated an advertising campaign that captivated a nation. Shaving mugs and brushes were the way of the male world in the mid-1920s. The brush and mug method represented the only real option for removing whiskers. And it was in that era that the Burma Vita Company of Minneapolis gave birth to a brushless shaving cream, Burma Shave. Clinton Odell began the Burma Vita Company while recovering from an illness that forced him to give up his successful insurance business. He joined forces with chemist Carl Noren to develop his brushless shaving cream after dismal results from Burma Vita's first product, a liniment. The trouble with Burma Shave was nobody knew about it. But Clinton's son, Alan Odell, was about to change all that. Alan Odell's idea seemed simple enough. Put a series of signs along the road to attract and hold the attention of motorists. Framed from $200 worth of used lumber, the first signs went up in September of 1926. They were erected along Old Route 65 near Lakeville, Minnesota, on the road to Albert Lea. Today, the old highway stands next to Interstate 35, but the Route 65 designation is gone. Grace Odell, Alan's wife, remembers that Alan's vision challenged the accepted standards of advertising.
And he had the idea that advertising should be something that you could laugh at and something that you wouldn't go to sleep when you're driving your car. And so he thought of the idea of the Burma Shave signs. He was always a dreamer and had such wonderful thoughts of just anything that might come in his mind.
Leonard Odell, Alan's younger brother, also remembers those early days. All the advertising experts said it would never work, Leonard says. But then the signs produced the company's first repeat business, and his father became a believer.
Dad says it's a wonderful idea. He said the only trouble is we haven't got any money. We actually were pretty well broke at that time. Dad said, I will incorporate the company and go out and sell some stock. And here was, in 3 weeks' time, Dad did the greatest selling job I've ever heard of. He had a busted company. He had an idea that advertising people said wouldn't work. This serial signs would never work as a regular advertising campaign. And he had a product that nobody believed in, brushless shaving cream. And with those 3 things going for him, he went out and sold 49% of the stock in 3 weeks and raised the money to incorporate and start the company and open a sign shop.
The Burma Vita Company was off and running. Within a year, sales soared from almost $0 to $68,000. Rhymes were added, causing Americans to smile and buy. 4 years after they first appeared, 6,000 sets of signs were located in 33 states. It wasn't exactly glamorous in those early years. The first building was remembered mostly for its sparse quarters and leaky roof. And even when Burma Vita's new plant was built in 1940, it was hardly luxurious. One of the most remarkable aspects of the Burma Vita Company was its size. The Burma Shave signs became so universally familiar that the company quickly billed itself as a national institution. A 16-city survey in the late 1930s showed Burma Shave as the #2 brushless shaving cream in the land. Burma Shave was present in 17% of medicine chests sampled. Only Barbasol rated higher. And Burma Vita's popular roadside jingles also contributed to an impression of a manufacturing giant. Take this jingle that appeared in 1947. When the stork delivers a boy, our whole darn factory jumps for joy. Burma Shave. But the whole darn factory, in fact, the entire Burma Vita company, never had more than about 35 employees. Because the signs crisscrossed America, frequent travelers undoubtedly imagine scores of trucks and sign men covering the 45 states where the signs eventually appeared. The truth was, Burma Vita's fleet never totaled more than 8 trucks. Clinton Odell, son of Allen and grandson of the founder, is struck by how America perceived a much larger company.
I always felt that people knew of the corporation and knew of it as almost as if it was a huge corporation, the way you would know a General Mills or a 3M Corporation or what have you. And most people thought it was a much bigger company than what it was. And this was the effect of the advertising at the time. It was extremely effective.
The Odells also sought and achieved a family atmosphere in their business. People who were hired almost at the beginning spent entire careers with Burma Vita until the Minneapolis operation ceased in 1966. That was a few years after the signs were taken down when Philip Morris bought the company. John Kammerer, Cam as he became known, joined Burma Vita in 1930 for his sign painting expertise. The company was having problems with streaking paint, but Cam soon became involved in all the problems with the signs.
The 8-foot post, for some reason, well, for the height of it, was just the right height for a horse to get under and rub. And they used to push them off of the deal. And then we went to the 10-foot posts and raised it up high enough so the horses couldn't get it.
At first, the Odells wrote their own copy for the signs and stuck with the benefits of the product.
At first, we had jingles like "Cheer up, face, the war is over." No brush, no lather, no rub in.
A ½ pound for $1/2, spread on thin above the collar. Burma Shave.
Tube of mints, 35 cents. Easy shaving, low expense.
Your shaving brush has had its day, so why not shave the modern way? Burma Shave.
After a few years of creating their own jingles, a national contest became the source for the text of the rhyming signs. The rejects always tickled the employees.
Or they'd get thousands of jingles, and some of them you couldn't put up because of the type of, well, they were clever, but they were very, very careful on hurting anybody's feelings.
This was family-oriented, and it had to stay that way, and my father was a real stickler on that. As a matter of fact, we had a set of jingles that we didn't put on the road that I thought was funny, and I didn't think it was that bad. Listen, birds, these signs cost money. Roost a while, but don't get funny. Burma Shave. And Dad said, no, that might offend somebody. It just might offend somebody. We forget it. Well, we had quite an argument over that, but we did forget it. And kept the jingles clean all the way through.
Another person whose service with Burma Vita began shortly after the company started to thrive was Alan Odell's secretary, Fidelia Dearlove, now Fidelia Dearlove Anderson.
Before I got there, I think they had put in some, if I remember rightly, they had put in some sets of signs down in southern Minnesota. And they seemed to be going over, and they kept expanding it. So they finally expanded it all over the United States, practically. Everybody knew the Burma Shave signs. That is, anybody that traveled on the road. And if you mentioned Burma Shave, they'd say, oh, signs, you know.
The small cadre of employees were divided into the manufacturing of the shaving cream and the sign operation. The roadmen were called PhDs, for post-hole diggers. As young men, all three of Alan and Grace Odell's sons worked for the company.
And one of the things that I found was that being a young freshman in college, although we thought we got a lot of exercise and were in decent physical condition, we had no idea what kind of shape we were in until we had to go out and dig those holes for those sets. Each set consisted of 6 signs, so we had to dig 6 holes, and normally we put 5 to 7 sets up a day. It's about what you could do, because you were driving between sets and etc. And I found that initially I could maybe dig 1 or 2 holes in a set of 6 where my partner would go 4 to 5. And at the end of the day, I'd be exhausted. It took me 2 to 3 weeks, I think, before I found that I was in good enough shape where I could keep up with him and do my share.
Many of the roadmen would often work the road for a while, then opt for an inside job when they got married. But Milo Kaiser was an exception. He stayed on the road for 21 years. He now concedes he violated company insurance regulations by taking his wife Elda along. He remembers traveling the different parts of the country.
I could put a set in an hour if it was good digging. If it was sand, or it'd go real easy. And I will also spend 8 hours trying to put a set of signs in out in Pennsylvania.
But the whole operation really began with Alan Odell's idea for the signs. In 1990, Alan and Grace Odell celebrated their 62nd wedding anniversary. Their courtship began shortly after Alan's graduation from the University of Minnesota, about the time of the first Burma Shave signs. They were introduced by Alan's friend Milburn Alexander, who was working for Burma Vita and was with Alan when he had the original idea for the signs. Alexander was one of the original incorporators of Burma Vita. Alan's poor health in his later years has never affected his sharp mind. The man who started it all with Cheer Up Face was still cheering himself and his wife with an occasional jingle in 1991.
Oh, he wasn't feeling well at all, and one day I said, well, we've just got to have a little more fun around here. And so I went bought my chores, getting dinner, and I came back, and he said, Grace, he says, I've got it. And I said, what have you got? Well, another Burma Shave rhyme. He said, it was Romeo, Romeo, Romeo. If you have a beard, go homeo, homeo, homeo. And that was really so nice, and it made a very happy evening for us.
Come away with me, Lucille, in my merry Oldsmobile. Down the road of life we'll fly, automobiling, you and I. To the church we'll swiftly steal, and our wedding bells will peal. You can go as far as you like with me in my merry Oldsmobile.
Merry Oldsmobiles, Model A Fords, Studebakers, and Duesenbergs were just some of the cars that passed the early Burma Shave signs. A whole generation of Americans grew up with Burma Shave signs and still associate those signs with old cars and Sunday drives.
Seeing a fine old Packard like this 29 model Phaeton brings back a lot of memories of the trips we took and the many cars that we had in those days. Of course, Packard's slogan was, ask the man who owns one, and it's one they carried in their advertising campaign as long as Burma Shave, and perhaps longer.
Traveling became one of many of the themes of Burma Shave signs. Traveling was easier, by the way, without a mug and brush.
It's in the bag of every man who travels lightly as he can. Burma Shave.
Salesmen, tourists, camper outers, all you other whisker sprouters, don't forget your Burma Shave.
Travelers, all you need is a razor and Burma Shave.
Take a tip. For your trip, no wet brush to soak your grip, Burma Shave.
You've laughed at our signs for many a mile. Be a sport. Give us a trial. Burma Shave.
Always remember on any trip, keep 2 things within your grip, your steering wheel, and Burma Shave.
But the Odells also stressed product benefit, even if it was in their own whimsical way.
Every shaver now can snore 6 more minutes than before by using Burma Shave.
Yeah.
And, you know, your dad wrote that, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Does your husband misbehave, grunt and grumble, rant and rave, shoot the brute some Burma Shave.
In the late 1930s, Clinton Odell decided safety would be a worthy theme. Alan Odell wrote the first safety jingles.
Road was slippery, curve was sharp. White robe, halo, wings and harp.
If hugging on highways is your sport, trade in your car for a Davenport. Burma Shave. The ones that I liked were where they had safety in them and a nice jingle. Like passing school zones, take it slow, let our little shavers grow.
Heaven's latest neophyte signaled left, then turned right. Burma Shave.
Proper distance to him was bunk. They pulled him out of some guy's trunk. Burma Shave.
Although insured, remember, kiddo, they don't pay you, they pay your widow. Burma Shave.
Violets are blue, roses are pink. On graves of those who drive and drink. Burma Shave.
Speed was high, weather was not. Tires were thin, X marks the spot. Burma Shave.
Car in ditch, driver in tree. Moon was full, and so was he. Burma Shave.
And there were scores more on safety, mixed with the Burma Shave message from points near and far, real and fictitious.
From Saskatoon to Alabama, you hear men praise the shave, what am? Burma Shave.
Statistics prove near and far that folks who drive like crazy are. Burma Shave.
From New York town to Pumpkin Holler, it's half a pound for half a dollar. Burma Shave.
Sleep in chair, nothing to lose, but a nap at the wheel is a permanent snooze. Burma Shave.
The Burma girls in Mandalay dunk bearded lovers in the bay who don't use Burma Shave.
Brother speeders, let's rehearse all together. Good morning, nurse. Burma Shave.
Alan, here's one you wrote. Keep well to the right of an oncoming car. Get your close shaves from a half-pound jar. Burma Shave.
A man who passes on hills and curves is not a man of iron nerves. He's crazy.
We know you really love that gal, but use both hands for driving, pal. Burma Shave.
If remembering the rhymes was a great American pastime, so was writing them. The company held annual contests and drew thousands upon thousands of entries. Many of the most famous started this way. A woman from Sydney, Ohio submitted this one. His face was smooth and cool as ice, but oh Louise, he smelled so nice. And M.E. Sweeney of Buffalo, New York submitted this one in the early 30s. In this veil of toil and sin, your head grows bald, but not your chin. Though within this veil of toil and sin jingle was singled out as the favorite of the Odell family. It's on display at the Henry Ford Museum in Detroit. The family also commissioned a special set of the same signs that were donated to the Smithsonian Institution in Washington. The Burma Shave jingle's unique appeal to the public might have been because the American people wrote most of them. Top prize in the national contest was usually $100. It was raised to $1,000 in the 1950s. The Burma Shave contests were advertised in writers' magazines, Sunday comic sections, and contest publications. It was common for the company to receive more than 50,000 entries a year. A Pittsburgh public relations and advertising man wrote this one. If you have a double chin, you've 2 good reasons to begin using Burma Shave. It was written by G. Reed Schreiner of Pittsburgh in 1938 At the time, he was publicity director of Carnegie, Illinois Corporation, and later became advertising director of U.S. Steel. That such a traditional advertising executive became a jingler was ironic, because the advertising world hardly embraced the idea at first. A 1930 article in a publication called Sales Management talked of freak advertising campaigns and asked readers if a legitimate campaign could have done better. But later, advertising experts no longer disputed what the campaign had done. Mel Hellitzer worked in advertising in New York for most of his professional life. He now is Professor Hellitzer, teaching at the E.W. Scripps School of Journalism at Ohio University. He believes there now is virtually no advertising expert who doesn't acknowledge the ingenuity and success of the Burma Shave advertising campaign.
Humor can always also overwhelm a product, meaning you remember the joke but you don't remember the brand name. But not in the case of Burma Shave. There was an example of corny, whimsy little couplets that had a product benefit and, more important, product recall. Everybody knew as they were reading the signs that the last one was going to say Burma Shave. Now that's tremendous in advertising if you can remember the name of the product.
On a smaller scale, Al Hart and his wife have their own agency and sign shop in Warsaw, Indiana. From the advertising perspective, Hart is convinced the campaign was one of the best ever.
It's been the most fantastic form of advertising, I think, that's been. Even with the mass media today and the instant, he gave something to the public, he gave something back to the public. He gave them entertainment as well as information about a product. And I don't see that a lot today. And I think the people felt good about it because they were entertained.
The road sign poets and jinglers were housewives, school teachers, professional writers, and preachers. Mrs. Fred Atkinson of Indianapolis saved her winning letter all these years. Her jingle? Try this cream a day or two, then don't call her, she'll call you, Burma Shave. In 1952, Harry Goldstein let the Burma Vita folks know that he was publicizing their contest in a publication called Brooklyn Pharmacist. One of his winning jingles? A chin where barbed wire bristles stand is bound to be a no-man's land. Burma Shave. And Harvard-educated lawyer Don Strong of Columbia City, Indiana wrote this one. The cream one hears the most of now comes from a jar, not from a cow. Burma Shave. In the 1930s, the man who won the most contests was the Reverend E.C. Baird of St. Joseph, Missouri. His son, Ewing Baird, collaborated on a couple of the winning entries. Ewing Baird says his father also wrote lyrics and inspirational newspaper columns. While he probably needed all the $100 paychecks he got from Burma Vita during the Depression, Ewing Baird remembers that it was a labor of love for his dad.
And not only wrote Burma Shave, he wrote songs, lyrics to songs, and a lot of poems, and wrote for the St. Joe's News Press. He loved to write little slogans for Burma Shave. He loved to do it, too. He'd probably do it for nothing if it wanted him to.
And Reverend Baird's daughter-in-law remembers some of those winning jingles.
The one-horse shay has had its day. So has the brush and lather way. Use Burma Shave.
But advertising went hand in hand with publicity, and Burma Vita became expert at getting the Burma Shave name mentioned anywhere and everywhere. On national radio shows, newspapers throughout the land, and even in Antarctica, where Burma Vita sent a set to the U.S. Navy at McMurdo Sound. The jingle read, use our cream and we betcha, girls won't wait, they'll come and get you. Burma Shave. But never did the signs generate any more publicity than with a jingle dreamed up by Alan Odell in 1938.
And so this one night, he woke me in the middle of the night, and I had my pencil and paper and flashlight because I couldn't get up to turn on a light. And this is what he said, free, free, a trip to Mars for 900 empty jars. Well, they put that on the road, and they got one fellow wrote that he had 800 jars, and where were they going to send him? And that evening, Alan came home and just distraught. He said, well, now what am I going to do? And I said, honey, just sleep on it. And so soon after that, he came out with this. If a trip to Mars you'd earn, remember, friend, there's no return. And he never did hear from him again.
But the man with the 800 jars wasn't quite as persistent as one of the real characters of Burma Shave lore, Arliss French. Frenchy, as he was known, spotted the Mars jingles alongside the road. The father of 7 children had never traveled very much, so he got to wondering about the peculiar message.
One day, in going between Fond du Lac and Sheboygan, I noticed those signs, free, a trip to Mars for 900 empty jars. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but as I drove along and as the days passed by, you just keep thinking about that. What would they do if somebody would send them 900 empty jars?
Soon he had the signs reproduced. He put them in the Red Owl grocery store he managed.
We put them in the store in the first aisle. Our first aisle was produce department. It was quite a big building, quite a large store. And we put them right down the aisle.
He offered a bounty of 15 cents a jar for every one his customers brought in. Then he sent a telegram to Burma Vida. They responded with the "Remember, friend, there's no return" message that Alan Odell had crafted some 20 years earlier. But Frenchy wouldn't go away easily. He sent another telegram.
When dealing with Burma, we expect a close shave. Why split hairs about the trip that I crave?
Burma Vida finally decided to send Frenchy and his wife Fran to Mars, Germany, outside of Dusseldorf. So he donned his space costume and helmet and headed to Minneapolis with his 900 jars and a Brinks truck. The Frenches spent the night at the home of Alan and Grace Odell and then continued to New York.
His costume was really funny. It was a red cape with the logo of the Red Owl. And then he had a helmet that was not anything like the helmets that they use now, and had that, and he carried a Burma Shave sign.
Now I was walking along to go to the other plane. Somebody yelled from up on the roof, "Hey, what did you do, lose a bet?"
And Frenchy made headlines all the way. He and his wife also got an unexpected chance to visit Paris.
I said, well, gee, this is our first time here. Wonder if we couldn't spend some time in Paris and go to Dusseldorf tonight. So we stayed, they said, sure, we'll take a flight tonight. We took a cab, hired a cab, and he drove us all around Paris, an English-speaking driver. We spent a whole day in Paris, and that night we boarded for Dusseldorf, not knowing that Dusseldorf was waiting for us. We got there, and the plane landed. It was a small plane, but there might have been 50 of us on the flight, and we were about in the middle. And as we walked to get off the plane, I looked out the window, and I see all those photographers and all those people, cameras all around. And I said to Fran, boy, somebody important on this flight. We looked around, who in the heck would be so important, you know? Well, the minute I stepped out the door, somebody yelled, "Put on your helmet." Well, I knew who the important one was.
As the Frenches and the Odells all ultimately agreed, it was simply great fun.
Shaving brushes, you'll soon see 'em way down east in some museum, Burma Shave.
In the early days, drugstores, not barbershops, were the places to get the 35-cent tube or half-pound jar. Burma Vida had no salesmen except their signs, and they refused to discount to jobbers. They'd eventually get the business anyway.
Riot at drugstore, calling all cars. 100 customers, 99 jars, Burma Shave.
With 200 kinds from which to choose, 2 million men prefer to use Burma Shave.
The jingles created in the minds of buyers all sorts of images of shaving, many about the product itself.
When Burma Shave, the schoolboy cried, at least I'll smell as if I tried Burma Shave.
I've read these signs since just a kid. Now that I shave, I'm glad I did. Burma Shave.
Our fortune is your shaven face. It's our best advertising space. Burma Shave.
This cream is like a parachute. There isn't any substitute. Burma Shave.
These signs are not for laughs alone. The face they save may be your own. Burma Shave.
Every day we do our part to make your face a work of art. Burma Shave.
Lawyers, doctors, sheiks and bakers, mountaineers and undertakers make their bristly beards behave by using brushless Burma Shave.
First men buy it, then apply it, then advise their friends to try it. Burma Shave.
His tenor voice she thought divine, till whiskers scratched sweet Adeline. Burma Shave.
And even though many jingles were censored, World War II changed many things for the nation and Burma Shave. Gas rationing and tire shortages made servicing the signs next to impossible during the war years. So there were other kinds of advertising. And for certain publications like American Legion magazine, there was even a Burma Vida pinup girl. But patriotism reigned at Burma Vida in the war years.
Soldier, sailor, and Marine, now get a shave that's quick and clean. Burma Shave.
Let's make Hitler and Hirohito look as sick as old Benito. Buy defense bonds. Burma Shave.
At ease, she said. Maneuvers begin when you get those whiskers off your chin. Burma Shave.
Maybe you can't shoulder a gun, but you can shoulder the cost of one. Buy defense bonds. Burma Shave.
Buying defense bonds means money lent, so they don't cost you 1 red cent. Burma Shave.
To most brush shavers, it's quite clear. The Yanks aren't coming, the Yanks are here. Use brushless Burma Shave.
But the signs and jingles went to war too. Al Hart's mother related to him that his family was a part of making the signs markers for GIs in Europe.
And she says, well, your uncle did it, you know, in Germany. And I says, no, I didn't know that. And apparently he was in a tank division under Eisenhower. And he and his brother, Paul, would be driving along, and Albert would get out and pick up scraps of wood and paint them. And then he'd paint the verses on them and stick them on a signpost for the infantry coming behind him. And he used to write my mother back then, and he would say, send me some more verses, you know, we got some more territory to cover. And then so the infantry got word back to his outfit that they appreciated the signs, and they were collecting them as they went along. The last guy would pull the sign, you know.
And where else would you expect to find Burma Shave signs during the war but in Burma? 2 years in Burma, soldiers rave. What they miss most is Burma Shave. The family aspect of Sunday drives and kids reading the signs frontwards and backwards was a lasting one.
At school zones, heed instructions, protect our little tax deductions. Burma Shave.
And kids sometimes got a history lesson. There were verses with references to the Bible, history, and politics. Arizona was the 45th and last state where the signs appeared. In his 1952 successful campaign for the U.S. Senate, Barry Goldwater used a Burma Shave type sign blitz to get his message across on his way to becoming a national figure.
Regardless of political views, all good parties always choose Burma Shave.
Lather was used by Daniel Boone. He lived 100 years too soon. Burma Shave.
Congressman Pip lost the election. Babies he kissed had no protection. To win, use Burma Shave.
Pity all the mighty Caesars. They pulled each whisker out with tweezers. Burma Shave.
Be a modern Paul Revere. Spread the news from ear to ear. Burma Shave.
Henry VIII, Prince of Friskers, lost 5 wives, but kept his whiskers. Burma Shave.
If daisies are your favorite flower, keep pushing up those miles per hour. Burma Shave.
Substitutes are like a girdle. They find some jobs they just can't hurdle. Burma Shave.
At Crossroads, just don't trust to luck. The other car may be a truck. Burma Shave.
The millionth man has joined our ranks of happy shavers. Many thanks, Burma Shave.
To kiss a mug that's like a cactus takes more nerve than it does practice. Burma Shave. Burma Shave, very good. But the best one of all is free, a trip to Mars for 900 empty jars. Burma Shave.
From the beginning, the Burma Vita Company realized the importance of America's farmers to the success of its ad campaign. On a regular basis, the company issued newsletters for farmers who received lease payments for placing the signs on their property. And they published an honor roll of farmers who notified them of damaged signs so a replacement could be shipped and installed by the farmer. The farmers of America who leased their property line for the Burma Shave signs kept up with the Burma Vita Company through the chatty newsletter called Burma Shavings. It made farmers feel they were part of the Burma Vita Company. Farmers would relate by letter how they replaced broken or damaged signs. Burma Shavings asked farmers to drop a postcard with the text of a missing sign, and the company would send them a new one, along with the special wrench it took to attach them. The reason for the wrench was to prevent pranksters from absconding with the signs, a perennial problem. One favorite target was first-class mail, often near college campuses. The full jingle read, "This cooling shave will never fail to stamp its user first-class mail, Burma Shave." That first-class mail sign was one that Thomas Clare of Wabash, Indiana, has been holding on to in a shed on his property. Claire's father and uncle previously owned the farm and made the Burma Shavings honor roll.
They had a program, as I understand, that was farmers or landowners that would help maintain the area around the signs. They would reward them with either discount products or a box of freebies. I'm not sure which it was, but I do know that my dad got a large box every year from them. And I think part of that had to do with the fact that I was sent out as a kid to cut the weeds down around the signs. And the one field that we had a set of these in had horses in it, and they would, the horses, these signs were pine, and the horses just loved to chew on those things. And so we put a secondary fence in to keep the horses from reaching the edges of the signs. They'd either chew them off or pull them over. And
the Burma Vita Company actually paid the farmers very little. $5 to $25 a year was the range of the lease payments, but most were on the low end. Even when a dollar bought a lot more, it wasn't much money. Still, the company succeeded in fostering a deep sense of loyalty among farmers.
Our good friends were the farmers. We used to have a little paper that we put out to our farmers that we rented our sign space from. We called it Burma Shavings. And this little paper, they enjoyed getting it.
They tried to make the farmers members of the Burma Shave Club by keeping them involved and telling them that there were thousands of farmers who were donating their land or renting out their land for the use of signs. It made them feel special. It made them feel that Burma Shave was a very caring company, but more important, it made them feel, hey, these people are renting my land, I might as well buy the product.
There were also some jingles directed to the farmers. Said Farmer Brown, who's bald on top, "Wish I could rotate the crop, Burma Shave." But as America became more urban and less rural, the nation's driving habits also changed. Many of the farms where the signs were located today sprout suburban sprawl rather than cornfields. In the 1960s, the coming of the interstate highways doomed the Burma Shave signs. In 1963, Philip Morris bought Burma Vita from the Odells. The decision was made to take the signs down. By now, Leonard Odell was president of Burma Vita. He says he tried unsuccessfully to dissuade the new owners from abandoning the signs.
They had us take the signs down, which was, I think, a big mistake. In fact, I fought with them for 6 months before I'd take them down. We went on and took the signs down, finally, and our business began to slide pretty rapidly after that. it was probably the best proof we ever had that those signs were as good as we had always claimed they were.
With the roadmen no longer needed, Milo Kaiser traveled the country for a couple of years. For most of that time, he was the only worker removing all of the remaining 6,000 signs.
I think a letter went out from the company to all these property owners where we had signs on their property. They could have the signs if they took them down. But there's not too many of them that took them out. So they were 3 feet in the ground with a block on the end of them, or a flange, or it was a steel post. So it was pretty hard work getting them out.
After the signs came down, Burma Shave sales continued to decline. In the mid-60s, Philip Morris shut down the Minneapolis operation. But did the signs really die? In some ways, it seems they didn't. While most of Burma Shave sightings along the road might be wishful thinking, motorists traveling US 30 in northern Indiana aren't seeing things. Al Hart regularly puts up Burma Shave signs he makes himself and frequently changes the verses.
Dad used to drive around just looking for these signs, but he knew the farms, he knew where to drive. And then we'd end up at the Dairy Queen, and that would be our Sunday. So well, I decided if I ever lived on a highway, I would put up Burma Shave signs. So we finally did get some highway frontage, and that's basically what I did. I put up Burma Shave signs.
The continued following of the Burma Shave signs isn't the older generations alone. Young Rick Hart recently did a report for school on The Verse by the Side of the Road, a popular book about the Burma Shave signs. Most of his classmates, of course, had never heard of them.
I thought the book was, great. It told about history and everything, as well as it was comical. And my teacher thought it was really neat that I did a book report on such a neat book, but my classmates didn't really know what it was.
And Bob Lederer, a family friend of the Odells, operated a restaurant in Minneapolis in recent years called Burma Shave. He, too, is an unabashed fan of the Odells and what they accomplished.
The things that the Odells did were giant-like in their simplicity and their affection for what was their sense of Americana. The adventure of going from my hometown of Rochester to Minneapolis, a journey of about 80 miles and returning in the same day, was filled with landmarks of towns perhaps 8 or 10 miles apart from each other. And there would be the excitement of sitting in the back seat where the young people sat and calling out the rhyme and ending it with a Burma Shave.
While many farmers use the signs for scrap wood, in recent years, collecting them has become popular in some quarters. Fred Bryan has canvassed old drugstores to amass his extensive product collection, but Steve Solberg of Agoura Hills, California, seems to be the champion collector. Solberg's vanity license plates tell how serious a collector he is. He's collected signs, including a rare blue set that was used only in South Dakota, where red signs were outlawed, and a Burma Shave clock, a brief and unsuccessful promotion of Burma Vita. He has products, jingle books, signs, and photos, and even has computerized every Burma Shave jingle, so he can distinguish the real thing from a fake.
Well, I collect antique advertising signs, and about 10 years ago, I saw a Burma Shave sign at a swap meet. I stopped and I'd remembered him from a kid when my parents and I traveled across country. And I asked the fellow how much it was, and he said, "Oh, I don't know." He said, "You can have it for $15. And I said, "Well, that's an awful lot for a piece of board. How about 10? So he said, "Okay." So I said to my wife, "I'll pick it up for $10 just for fun," since I remembered him from so many years ago. And I did that and brought it home and hung it up just like people would hang pictures on their wall. And that's how it all started about 10 years ago.
Looking back on it all, members of the Odell family still wonder if the signs couldn't have continued a little longer. But they have no regrets. In fact, there's a strong sense of pride over the company that took off with Alan Odell's idea in 1926.
Sure, I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the company and the people that we had in the company, and the image that they left with the public.
Those were the days when if you had little guts and you had a little bit of money and you had a good idea, you could make it. And that's what they had. My grandfather had the money. My father had the idea. My grandfather had some experience as a chemist, formulation, products such as this. And so between them and my Uncle Leonard, they made this corporation grow.
Dad really was the backbone of the company and started the company, and Al was the guy that saved our lives. We were going broke, and Al comes up with this wonderful roadside idea, saved our lives. That was as simple as that. So you got to be proud of a person like that, you know.
But that understandable sense of pride is probably better put in perspective by those outside the Odell family.
To put my finger on the one thing, I'm really not sure, but it was just a feeling, I guess you might say, from the Burma Shave Company that they were straightforward, honest, family-owned, believed in the American ethic, the American dream, and it was the company itself, I guess, was a reflection of the work ethic, and it was just a good feeling all the way around.
Its concept, which might have been rather amateurish in the beginning, is looked upon by professionals as a landmark type of advertising campaign.
I think the Odells, in a sense, accomplished the American dream for all of us. They were truly, I believe, American pioneers. They took a very small thing, a unique product, and took their concept nationwide in such an unusual way.
Hello, my baby, hello, my honey, hello, my ragtime gal, send me a kiss by wire, baby, my heart's on fire. If you refuse me, honey, you lose me, then you'll be left all alone. Telephone and tell me that I'm your own. Tell me that I'm your own. And tell me I'm the one who made your life worthwhile. Tell me I'm the one to walk you down the aisle. Tell me I'm the one who made your dreams come true. Tell me, honey, I'm coming back to you.
Whether it was Hello My Baby or the fact that Burma Shave clicks with chicks, the boy-girl theme was always popular on Burma Shave signs.
I don't know. The boy-girl thing, of course, was always a kind of a popular theme. You know, we just about take them the way they came. That was all. If they were good, we took them.
The answer to a maiden's prayer is not a chin of stubby hair, Burma Shave.
He had the ring, he had the flat, but she felt his chin, and that was that. Burma Shave.
To steal a kiss, he had the neck, but lacked the cheek to get one back, Burma Shave.
Dinah doesn't treat him right, but if he'd shave, Dinah might. Burma Shave.
Grandpa's beard was stiff and coarse, and that's what caused his 5th divorce, Burma Shave.
Before I tried it, the kisses I missed. But afterward, boy, the misses I kissed. Burma Shave.
So tell me that I'm your hello, my baby, hello, my honey. Tell me that I'm your own.
Usually, Americans smiled at the jingles, but if you weren't a fan of word plays, you might groan. Depending on your opinion, there were some good or awful puns.
If harmony is what you crave, then get a tuba, Burma Shave.
You know your onions, lettuce, suppose. This beats 'em all. Don't turnip your nose, Burma Shave.
Pedro walked back home, by golly. His bristly chin was hot tamale, Burma Shave.
He married Grace with scratchy face. He only got one day of grace, Burma Shave.
Her chariot raced 80 per. They hauled away what had been her, Burma Shave.
This cream makes a gardener's daughter plant her tulips where she oughter, Burma Shave.
Ben met Anna, made a hit, neglected beard, Ben Anna split.
Throughout the Great Depression, World War II, and the post-war period, Burma Shave jingles remained signs of the times.
'Twould be more fun to go by air if we could put these signs up there. Burma Shave.
We don't know how to split an atom, but as to whiskers, let us at 'em. Burma Shave.
With television on the set, stars are running out to get Burma Shave.
Prices rising o'er the nation. Here's one that missed inflation. Burma Shave.
Tested in peace, proven in war, better now than ever before. Burma Shave.
Other things have gone sky high. Half a dollar still will buy. Half-pound jar, Burma Shave.
Had a quiz. Pa ain't no whiz, but he knows how to keep my his. Burma Shave.
Hardly a driver is now alive who passed on hills at 75. Burma Shave.
I don't know of anybody back then that didn't know what Burma Shave was. And like one of the signs says, if you don't know whose signs these are, you can't have driven very far.
Speeding cars and modern expressways push images of Burma Shave signs and country roads even farther into America's past. Throughout Burma Shave's history, the public responded to the jingle campaign. An admirer from Peekskill, New York may have said it best in the 1930s. We thank you for the laughs you gave with roadside ads of Burma Shave.
The Signs and Rhymes of Burma Shave is part of the Americana series by Sentimental Productions. Another tape in this series is The Unsinkable Delta Queen, which traces the history of the Delta Queen steamboat from her origins in California to present day on the Ohio and Mississippi rivers. It's the story of a great steamboat family, the Green family of Cincinnati, and of those who fought to save the Delta Queen from an act of Congress and to preserve her as a part of Americana. To order either tape, write to Sentimental Productions, Post Office Box 4005, Cincinnati, Ohio 45204, or call toll-free 1-800-762-0338.